Hello, this is Craig Lane with video blog part 2 about radish greens and mustard greens. And next to the radish greens you see here, you'll see a little California poppy, and that's a whole other conversation. But today we're going to talk a little bit about with our Health Alchemy YouTube channel, Alchemy, A-L-K-E-M-Y, healthalchemy.com. My name's Craig Lane, and I'm excited to do the next in this series about herbs and some of their lesser known properties. So to distinguish between mustard and radish when it's young, it's pretty difficult, but if you see in the radish here, see how it's very finely toothed, you could say. The mustard green tends to not have that as much, but there's many types of wild radish and wild mustard. So if you know where your clump is year after year, which is the value of what I teach, which is to watch plants year in and year out. So the mustard has clumps of blossoms. It has no veins in the flower. It has not a segmented seed pod, and it's taller and it's yellow flowers versus radish tends to be white or a kind of a white purple flower. But there are variations in these. So those are the 4 botanical differences in some of the leaf structure. If you know what's going on when it's flowering, then you know. So let's move on to some other properties of radish greens, and then we'll talk about mustard. And I'll probably end up doing having a photo of mustard in the description, or a link to a Google image of mustard greens, because I can't seem to find any around where I'm at growing with the radish, which is nice because sometimes they grow together. So radish greens, radishes and onions and garlic were used for payment of the pyramids, apparently. The makers of the pyramid, Herodotus said that was with a payment, which is interesting. So radish greens is kind of a digestive stimulant and very, very loaded with expectorant, mucus expectorating properties, bile thinning properties, so it helps the liver, vitamin C. It's got anti-worm and antifungal properties. And the seed pods are useful and can be pickled. And it's very good also, laxative, diuretic, and you can use the root. And the root, some of these properties are more accentuated, such as the radish juice and honey to make the hair grow was something our ancestors did. Let me repeat that: radish juice and honey to make the hair grow. So here we looking at it again, different angles, closeness of the radish. On the other hand, radish greens and root is more neutral, whereas mustard's only for hot. We spoke to this yesterday. So the sulfur compound is high in both of these. And that sulfur is heating, but in the radish it's offset a bit by a cooling factor. And in mustard, you can get cows are not supposed to eat much of mustard greens. So it's mustard had some interesting, it's mainly grown for a seed, but you can grow it for root or seed pods or any of that. And it's also antibacterial, antifungal. And it's more warming though, so you don't want to do it when you've got a really bright red tongue and a lot of heat and a red face. That's an opposite indication for mustard. Radish would be the indication. But listen to these properties of mustard. Appetizer, cathartic, so you could use it to barf out if you have a lot of stagnation in the stomach. That's a verifiable therapy I've done. Diaphoretic therapy helps you sweat. Radishes do that too, sweat out toxins. Diuretic again, get bad water out of the body. Expectorant again, but it's more for cold mucus and a stimulant. And so they like to say in mustard greens, you eat those this time of year because the hydrogen sulfide liberates and clears the blood of winter stagnation. So the liberated hydrogen sulfide is that spicy flavor, and it clears the blood of winter stagnation, which I think is a fantastic way of putting it. Mustard greens have the same properties of radish greens, but again, more warming. They're antioxidant, they detox the blood, they're high in fiber and vitamin C and K. And one other little natural thing about mustard is that you should understand that canola oil is an unnatural form of mustard, and canola and the way mustard was labeled botanically there's some weird things about mustard. It's a brassica in the same family as cabbage, but the Greek word for mustard is sinapis versus brassica. So the Greek sinapis is actually the true botanical name of mustard. And there's many wild mustards, they're all edible. So that's nice to know that you can't really go wrong. Wild mustard, wild radish, you want them when they're young. So you've got a quick season right now, so if you act soon, you get a lot of juice, greens, and then you can use the flowers, the flower clusters, and the root and the seeds later. But these greens get really tough later on in the year, so get on it now and you get lots of free juice and greens. And that's about all I have for today. And Health Alchemy signing off.